Really? Really? Right as I hit start? That's what you do? Really? Oh, man. Welcome to Spacevidcast episode 6.04 for Saturday, February 9th, 2013. My name is Benjamin Higginbotham. With me, as always, is the beautiful, lovely, and wonderful and talented Carrie Ann Higginbotham, who apparently was about to leave the set right as we start the show. We've got a boatload of space news. In fact, we've got so much space news that the second segment, where it's usually our main topic,
we skipped that part.
More space news.
We're like, no, space news.
So let's start our space news off, bam, on Mars. Check that out. That is a hole that the Martian science laboratory, Curiosity, has left on the Martian surface. It is...
we drilled a hole.
We did. It's actually the very first time any robot has drilled into the Martian surface to collect a sample. This happened on... actually, the announcement came out today on February 9th, although it obviously happened a little bit earlier than that. And this is a drill at the very end of its robotic arm. It's able to bore into the rock. I've lost my show here. Where's my show? There we go. It's able to bore into the rock and then collect those samples. It can actually take the dust samples, then move them into the back area for scientific experiments and whatnot. And right now they're boring in, and then they're going to basically use we call it clean out the machine, kind of swirl it around a little bit, make sure that there's no foreign stuff that came from Earth, and then start their scientific experiments. So Curiosity is coming online, basically
Very
fully
cool.
operational science laboratory the size of a VW Beetle.
So awesome.
On an alien planet.
And on a personal note, DJ Dr. P's wife, Mrs. DJ Dr. P, has...
DJ Dr. P being William Pomerantz, who
Yes.
used to work at the Google Lunar X Prize and is now at Virgin Galactic.
Yes, his wife works at JPL and had a hand in the drilling.
What?
Not a hand.
What?
but-
She was on Mars.
You know what I'm saying.
That's cool.
It was very cool.
Also on Mars is this. This is a... right?
There's a this.
There's a that.
There is.
What is it? What is that? Because it's shiny and it looks metallic. And the thought process is, we think it's metal. We being scientists.
Right.
Not us, although we think
Well,
it's
we
metal
do too. I mean, look at that.
Right? It could actually be metal. That was also taken from Curiosity. This was captured on Sol 173, also known as my birthday, January 30th, 2013. And it could be iron from a meteorite. We think it's metal because it is shiny. It seems to be repelling, or at least not attracting dust. And the Martian surface is very, very dusty. So the thought process is that's metal, or it could be something that's growing out of the ground. Really don't know, but interesting looking. So we figured we'd kind of bring that up in the show and show that as well. You want to talk about our next guy for a moment?
Yeah. So Commander Chris Hadfield,
Yep.
who technically is actually not commander of the International Space Station quite
March.
yet.
He is on the space station right now,
Yes.
the current expedition, but he will become the commander of the space station, first Canadian commander this March.
Which is awesome.
Go Canada.
Go Canada. I think a little part of the confusion is his Twitter handle is Commander Hadfield.
Well, he will be commander.
Right. So there's that. It always seems to be the Canadians that have a little too much fun in space. Have you noticed?
I'm not sure if I'd call it too much fun or just Commander Hadfield being awesome.
Commander Hadfield is really awesome. There have been a series of videos, tweets, all different kinds of fun things that are coming out from the International Space Station, sort of featuring Commander Hadfield, if you will.
One of the things he's going to be doing, he will be doing the first Google Plus Hangout from space.
Awesome.
Right? So that's pretty cool. That alone makes him pretty awesome.
Right?
One of the other things he did already is with...
So the Bare Naked Ladies is a group that's from Canada. So I think that's part of the connection. And Commander Hadfield, Chris Hadfield, I apologize, can actually... Astronaut Hadfield can do a little bit of singing, a little bit of strumming on said guitar. He's not too shabby, if I may say
What
myself.
you're looking at is Bare Naked Ladies, full choir, and then on that HD TV kind of in the background...
Space!
Live view from space as he's doing a duet with what's-his-name from Bare Naked Ladies.
With what's-his-name?
I don't know. That's not something
good
that
heavens.
I normally do.
I know, it's not in our notes at all. But anyway, that's really cool. So they had a live duet from space That's so crazy. That's
Yep.
so crazy.
And he can actually sing. We can't play it for you because
No.
copyright infringement. But go to our show notes. You can actually click over to the YouTube video and listen to him. He can actually sing pretty well, and he's strumming on his guitar. So in addition to that, who calls up?
Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
I'm ready for the event.
Mr. Shatner, this is Mission Control, Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
I'm calling. This is Shatner. Do you hear me?
Mr. Shatner, this is the Space Research Vessel, ISS, in Earth orbit. And yes, I hear you loud and clear. How do you hear me? This is Chris Hadfield.
Chris, I hear you loud and clear. It's such a pleasure to talk to you.
Dude, he talked to Captain Kirk.
It's so cool.
He talked to Captain Kirk.
Yes, I think originally when I had heard about it, I also tweeted out, like, Captain Kirk talks to Commander Hadfield in space. Like, it's such a geek nerd moment, and I absolutely adore that he played the whistle.
Yeah.
Like, I can you explain that? Because you know the history better than I do about that's.
Oh, I actually don't. My dad knows the history about that.
Dad dog.
Yeah, he needs to be back here.
But isn't that when Captain comes aboard?
Yeah,
right?
well,
When
but I don't
it's
know
sort
how
of like
often.
an announcement.
Yeah, they do that, but I
Right?
don't know how often they actually play the. If Dad Dog's in the chat room, he
I
can
know
explain
Dad
what
Dog
that
will
is.
be
and we'll
typing away right now.
Oh,
And I
furiously,
apologize.
He can explain what all it's used for. I know
Right.
that when the commander comes on board the ship, they'll say, if you're on the USS Arizona, they'll say Arizona arriving,
Right.
whatever. But beyond that, I don't know what else they use it for.
But he played the noise for him, and I think that's really amazing and super sweet. And
So we think Commander Hadfield may be, I'm just saying, throwing this out there, may be the coolest commander to ever be on the International Space Station.
could be.
Now, you were mentioning earlier, and this is true, he's doing all of these things before he becomes commander of the space station.
Right.
Could very well be that once he is commander, because he went up there not that long ago on this
Right.
last expedition flight on the Soyuz. Could be that once he becomes commander, way too busy to do all these things. So he's
Very well.
kind of getting them out of the way now. But who knows?
Get the fun out of the way
Get
now.
the fun out of the way and then get to work. But I don't know. I just think it's really cool.
It is really cool.
I thought it was really cool that he was doing all that. And speaking of really cool things that were going on, this is a thing that happened.
Oh.
Bam! SpaceX software engineers did a Reddit Ask Me Anything or a Reddit AMA yesterday, was it?
Yes.
This is just a quick little, again, hit our show notes and you can actually read the full transcript of everything. The SpaceX software engineers have a sense of humor. It's pretty awesome. Just at the very, very top, this is one of the beginning, it was, one of the questions is, I'd love to know when I can start packing for Mars. Mm-hmm. SpaceX software engineers said, give us 5 to 10 years. Pretty straightforward answer.
Right.
Redditors came back and said, that's what NASA said in the 70s. SpaceX software engineers came back and said, would you want to bet against Elon? No, you don't.
No,
you really don't.
No, so really entertaining. Of course, some Redditors are being some Redditors, and so it may not be,
Well-
all of the language inside may not be appropriate for work, so maybe read it on your off time.
Nah, there are no
et cetera, et
pictures
cetera.
or anything that's
There's no
inappropriate,
pictures.
so,
there's that.
is what it is.
So just be aware if you're not familiar with the Reddit community. There are a couple of moments there, but a lot of interesting information. Really fascinating to me what kind of questions were being asked and how they were being answered. There is a decent little snippet about the Kerbal Space Program. Mm-hmm. So please, really feel free to go through and read that. And it seems like they all had a lot of fun.
So before we go to break, this is the last news item before then. Check this out. This is a propellantless space drive, essentially, that is being developed by China right now. It's actually been around for a little while, and it's kind of bounced around a few hands, but right now China is picking this up. The reason this is a big deal, it can't go very fast, so I forgot what its exact weight is. It's like 14 grams of thrust or something like that.
Okay.
But its power to thrust ratio, or at least the amount of power you get off of the amount of weight that is up there, it's substantially lighter than existing propellant that's up there. And because it is propellantless, it can kind of just keep going.
Right.
This is very similar to an ion drive, but you basically get 3 times the amount of thrust at a fraction of the weight.
Gotcha.
Right? So
Okay,
that's where
now-
this really comes into play, right?
Okay,
So
yes.
this is not something that's going to get you out of Earth's gravity.
Right.
This isn't even something that's going to be able to lift. It can't combat Earth's gravity at all.
Right.
But once you're beyond Earth's gravity, and you just need just a little bit of oomph in the nothingness of space,
Right.
something like this could be really, really cool. It uses essentially microwave is basically what it uses. And there's a really, really great article on it. Hit up our show notes, and we'll add it to the description of the video file. And you can read all about it. But we thought this was pretty cool. This is something that China is currently working on. And they've made pretty good strides in it, it sounds like. Now, it could still be fake. Well, fake is not the right word.
Vaporware?
Yeah,
Sort of thing?
Could be vaporware, like not really ever going to happen or
Right.
within our lifetime. So don't get all excited saying that this is a surefire thing.
I can see the headlines now. China creates ion drive.
But,
Right.
cool nonetheless. All right, stay with us. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, more awesome space news.
Look into her face, determination in her eyes. She won't give up or quit or fall for little fashion lies. Filled with awesome expectation, this girl's a fascination. And nothing in her way will keep her from her destination. 'Cause she's fire walking, she's fire walking. When it's hot, she keeps on moving. Through the heat, keeps on improving. Yeah, she's fire walking, she's fire walking to be free.
Welcome back to more space news. Ben handed it over to me, so I figured I gotta get that in right now before he shuts me down. Anyhow, so continuing on with the more space news, I feel for all of those people that are on the East Coast right now, they're just getting bombarded with Snowpocalypse. I feel your pain because we used to live in Minnesota, but now we're in sunny California, and I'm a little bit chilly because it's like 68 here today.
I know it's normally 72 and sunny. Now it's
know,
68 and sunny. We are
just-
freezing. I'm wearing my sweater. It's
I've
awful.
got long knee socks
terrible.
on. It's incredible.
Awful.
It's absolutely nuts. So I understand. But in space-related news to the Snowpocalypse, the satellite NPP, or what's also known as this, and I'm going to totally butcher this name.
Wait. Covering shot so you can do it. There
Perfect. The Suomi NPP, who is named after Vern Suomi, who was born in Minnesota. Yay.
you go.
Go
Yay,
MN.
Minnesota.
It was highly regarded as the father of satellite meteorology. The NPP satellite launched in 2011, and NPP stands for the National Polar Orbiting Observational Environmental Satellite Systems Preparatory Project. Thankfully, they just shortened that right up to NPP.
Yep.
So there's that. The interesting thing about this particular satellite is that it's how does this work? It goes over the pole, so
It's a polar orbit.
Yeah, and so it circles the globe latitudinally. Is that a word?
Sure, let's go for that.
We're gonna do that. Like I said, it was launched in 2011. It's only supposed to be working for another few years when NASA, and with a joint effort with the NOAA, with the National
Oceanic.
Association, something. You guys know it. I'm not going to go through that. With their JPSS-1 satellite, which is a joint polar satellite system that is supposed to be launched in 2017. So hopefully nothing will happen to our Suomi NPP between here and there, and or hopefully the JPSS-1 doesn't get delayed, because we could maybe not know about Snowpocalypse until we're in the midst of it.
Oh, well, you would know about it as it started. just
No,
so
but you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like, it's kind of nice to get that warning so you can run out to Safeway and get some water and run back home again.
Sure.
Those kinds of things. So I thought that was really cool.
You also found an interesting story about our sun, more specifically solar flares.
Yes.
Someone recorded the radio waves of a solar flare as an audio file.
Right. It is an accidental recording. It's actually a man. I do have it in my notes here somewhere. who Thomas Ashcroft, who's an amateur astronomer, radio astronomer from New Mexico, and he was having a conversation. So if you listen to the file, you'll hear some.
Here it is. Here it comes. That's kind of cool.
Okay, I kind of love the tapering off as well. This is what Tom Ashcroft calls a Type 3 radio burst. Like I said, he was having a conversation at the time, which is why you kind of get what sounds almost to be like words at the beginning there and a little bit at the end. But all of that lovely white noise in the middle there was a solar flare that happened to be recorded audibly. It's kind of amazing. I sort of love it. But we are coming up on the 11-year cycle of solar activity, peaking in this year. So few more of those sorts of things will probably start popping up here soon, I would imagine.
So last week, and actually the week before, we've been talking about the National Space Society's Kickstarter program. They are trying to create they've got a Kickstarter campaign to create a epic, compelling piece about why we should be in space.
Yes.
And we're very excited to say, so last week we were very close. It was like 30,000 out of 35,000. They are now at 40,000 out of 35,000, which means that they have, in fact, met their initial funding goals, but they do have 2 more stretch goals. Ooh. As of this live recording, there are 6 days left to reach those stretch goals. Awesome. So they're getting pretty close to that $55,000 mark. That's their first stretch goal. Once they reach $55,000, they're going to go and send the movie to the governors of all 50 states, the president, members of Congress, the cabinet, just get it out there in front of people who essentially have power in the U.S. So that's the $55,000 goal, is just blast it out there.
Right.
Then at $75,000, which in 6 days, challenging, right? I think they might be able to pull off $55,000 in the next few days.
Yeah,
$75,000 is pushing it, but it would be cool because then they're actually going to create topic-specific videos about the moon and the important technology spin-offs, which is one of my favorite topics of all time.
So Ben's just going to donate the rest so you can see a wonderful movie about technology spin-offs.
That's right. But regardless, it's a really cool idea. I'd love to see them get to their second stretch goal if they can at 75,000. They're over halfway there to the double stretch goal. Amazing. Regardless, they already have enough money. They're funded. They're ready to go with their initial goal. So that's really amazing. And with last week's show, we talked about using Kickstarter as a way to jumpstart space campaigns. And so I got to thinking, I wonder what's already on Kickstarter and Indiegogo. Ooh. Exactly. Well, we found a couple of things.
Yes.
For example, one thing we found.
What is it that we found?
Well, they're interesting. Ping. Actually, I'm going to show you a video. This is from on Indiegogo. Again, check our show notes for the URL. Indiegogo. This is called Social...
Yep.
Take 2. This is called Social Sat. There you go.
Gotcha.
The idea being your social profile is loaded onto this cube.
It's like a
nanosat. A CubeSat. It's a big CubeSat, though.
Right.
It's loaded onto this cube, and from Earth, you can control it with your iPhone or Windows or Macintosh PC. But you can then take your social profile and beam it to different destinations in space. So if you want to send your social profile to Mars, it's an interesting idea. If you want to send your... Yeah, I had the same thought. If you want to send your social profile to Mars, you can do that. I'm sure there's other stuff, but here's a quick video they created on it.
Okay.
You are going to experience things that no one has ever experienced before. You are going to have something that nobody has ever had before. You are going to do things that no one has ever done before.
Have you ever imagined the possibility of having something personal and yours in space? Well, you don't have to imagine anymore, because this is the opportunity we are giving you. And this is a Space Capsule 1.
Welcome to Space Capsule 1.
Here you can put all the information and contents that you want, and that information will be hosted in your own private space capsule.
What are you going to take to space?
But the most amazing thing is that you will be able to control and access that information from the palm of your hand. You will also have your own space control center, where you will be able to do surprising things.
So, all right. That was a little bit of the demo video. The rest of it's playing behind us. What's that look for?
Nothing.
All right. Look,
I didn't say anything.
So we are space geeks, and so we're looking for the scientific reasons to go to space. We're looking for how's it going to expand humanity into space, but not everyone wants to do that. And so this is a way for mere mortals to maybe get excited about space. It's interesting. Don't give me that look. Again, you're giving me that look. It's a way for people who maybe aren't interested in space to kind of go, oh, that might be kind of cool to put my social profile in space. I'm not saying it is. I'm saying maybe. I'm just saying. All right.
What else did we find?
Well, now I'm scared to show you. So, in addition to that one, we also found this one, which is the NEA Space Agency. This one was unique as well. They're looking to raise $1 million, and they're $25 in. Yeah, there's 30 days left, so I think they just posted it. Basically, it is a space agency to rival NASA, and the $1 million gets them the kind of the facility and the startup money to begin their operations. It was essentially what we were talking about is using Indiegogo or Kickstarter or crowdfunding to start your own space program.
Did you look into the profile? Maybe it is somebody who actually listens to our show.
No. I probably should have.
Just in case.
Could be. But here's another one. Both of the links for these programs will be in our show notes. Regardless, whether you agree with the program or don't, you can vote with your pocketbook.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
You can say, yeah, actually the social media idea is kind of a good one. Maybe we did a really poor job of explaining it. So go check it out, see if it's something that you like. Maybe you do want to have your own space program that you're a member of. And actually for it's not. It's down off the screen. One of the perks is for like something really low, like $5 or some really low number. Or no, it's $25. For $25, you're entered in to become a potential astronaut in their program. Now, how real is it? I don't know. Right? That you be the judge of that. Right? Certainly, it could be completely.
Well, particularly if they're asking for $1 million to get in on the ground floor or to start the ground floor. Their astronaut program may not be for 20 years.
Yeah. Who knows, right? So, they want to rival NASA, but some people sometimes forget that NASA gets $20 billion. Let's just say that they waste half of that. That's still $10 billion that you would need to raise to rival NASA, essentially, rival NASA. Now, let's just say they waste...
And right now, NASA's
let's say 1/20th of that is what... That's still $1 billion that you would need to raise to rival NASA.
Right.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. And NASA right now isn't putting humans in space.
Correct. That's correct. But they have obviously they have MSL. They got some really good programs.
They're doing amazing
things, but rivaling NASA is very difficult to do. Do you want to do that last news story about Iran, or should we just go to break?
No, we can go to break.
You sure? All right. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, viewer comments from last week's show. Stay with us. We'll be right back. How's that for an old school SpaceVidcast ad for Epic?
Right?
Yeah, all of the.
Where did you dig that out from, man?
That was from 2010. 3
Easy.
years ago, yeah.
Wow.
But it still applies. SpaceVidcast Epic is
Yeah.
what helps fund this show. All of the money that you spend on Epic goes right back into equipment, allowing us to go out to different meetings, to give you really, hopefully, great access to space events that are happening out here in California. And for those of you who will be watching After Dark, we've got a new partnership with a company called Black Magic. We'll be showing you some of that stuff. It's going to be pretty cool what we're able to produce. Pretty cool what we're able to produce. The SpaceVidcast digs are going to be improving soon. So SpaceVidcast Epic, spacevidcast.com/epic is the ad set. It starts at as low as $8.33 a month if you do it yearly, which is $100 a year, or $10 a month if you don't want to commit to a full year. And of course, you can cancel that at any time. Right out of PayPal, and it really does help us quite a bit. So SpaceVidcast Epic subscribers, as a thank you, you also get gigs and gigs and gigs of additional content. One additional thing that will be happening soon is we use Akamai as our CDN for Epic. One additional thing is we're going to make everything downloadable right from Akamai. So instead of having to stream the video, you'll be able to download it very soon. It's kind of a time issue, right?
Right.
We've got a good chunk of the back end stuff done. Just got to make the button in the front end code. So on that note, viewer comments from last week's show. Let's start off with this guy right here. This was in reference to building a space program, and I asked why limit yourself to volunteers. You can pay people, right, if you have enough funding, right? And you know, because working with volunteers is sometimes challenging. Marcus wrote, "Why limit yourself to volunteers? Why is paying for people's time a bad thing? Because it's expensive." And I, breaking from that, that is true.
Right.
What the most expensive part of just about any business is people, not product. I'm coming from an angle of wanting to be an astronaut. Let's not build more rockets. Everyone's doing that. Let's build a new space station. We could be regular customers of one of the plethora of launch providers, a destination for the human spaceflight industry. Something bigger than a Bigelow towards an O'Neill Island 1.
Interesting.
Well, we can't even get a Bigelow space station up there right now, so using the launching providers. But I understand your point. It's a valid point of why build an entire program? Why not just build the pieces that you need? And there are a lot of companies actually doing that. Again, using the same things that we say, Mass Space Systems, Armadillo Aerospace, Bigelow Aerospace, Xcore, so forth and so on, all adding to some of this stuff.
Right.
Let's take it a step further.
Okay.
You need spacesuits.
Yes.
Right? You're going to need city planners. So if we're building a colony on Mars, you know,
Right.
going to Mars in 10 years, when can you go? Elon
Well,
Musk-
everyone's seen the same pictures. That's fine. It's already been done.
Well,
Next.
that's the problem, is it hasn't been done. So someone needs to plan the Martian colonies,
Right.
the plumbing, the electricity, the everything, so that it's
Right.
actually, you know, not you stuck in a Dragon capsule for the rest of time. It's
that
something
would suck,
livable,
dude.
something that can expand. We're going to need a lot of new stuff. So we're very close to the point where maybe we do need some of these companies that think about lunar colony, Martian colony, spacesuits. There are actual spacesuit companies out there as well, things like that. So I think that's a very valid comment.
Interesting.
David says, we're preparing a Kickstarter presentation to build a scale model of spaceplane technology. Congress may finalize plans for a more sophisticated crowd investment path for bigger projects. That's an interesting concept, I think. We have some markets for small projects and can follow a demonstration of flying hardware, building, blah, blah, blah. So you've got the link at the bottom, and then, of course, we'll work on, that's actually in the wiki already, I believe.
Yeah.
And that's from David, so you can actually see their Kickstarter campaign. Some of the information is a little bit older on there. Yeah. I think it was October of 2012. But you can kind of see what they're working on from a spaceplane concept. So I just wanted to bring that up because we're talking about using Kickstarter as a medium to fund your program, and here's
Yes.
someone saying, yeah, we're already thinking of doing that.
Awesome.
So certainly not a new idea. Quarkspin, SpaceVidcast regular, is he in the chat room right now?
I believe
Probably
so.
is, actually. QS.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right there.
All right, so Quarkspin, can you read this to us? Oh, wait, it doesn't work that way.
Oh.
Actually, Quarkspin is one of those guys who keeps us truthful, because he
Yes.
did go back and he checked on some of the Google Lunar X Prize teams.
Yes.
2 teams, part-time scientists and a mega envoy, have failed Kickstarter campaigns.
Yes.
Which is a little bit sad, actually.
It is a little bit.
One Google Lunar X Prize team announced a corporate sponsorship in works with MoonPie, which I think is an awesome corporate sponsorship, but haven't really heard much else since then. So it looks like trying to use Kickstarter campaign or NASCAR sponsorship approach to building a space program is a tough go. I think so. I also think, and I actually did reply in real time in the comments, I think any funding is tough for any industry, not just space. So getting things funded at all is hard to do, which is why these programs
whether
are there.
it be via Kickstarter or advertisement opportunities, like you were saying, NASCAR. You know, Red Bull's got a decent amount of money, but they can't fund everybody who wants to go into space or go to the moon, or you know, and we've yet to see people like Nike or Apple or, you know, other big gigantic names that you've heard of before really kind of step up to say, yeah, no, sure, absolutely, you want to put a rover on the moon to only send pictures back, I'm in. You know, it's I think there's a balance between what they're willing to support.
What an amazing opportunity for Red Bull, because they are sending pictures back. So you stick the Red Bull logo on the rover where the camera will be shooting. So like every shot has a Red Bull logo on it, and people are going to be.
It could be very, very cool. Absolutely, it could be very, very cool. But again, I think some corporations that have the money are maybe too big. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, okay, a rover on the moon. They might look at it and think it's too small. You know what I'm saying? It's not humans.
So you're
not doing scientific discovery. You're literally sending pictures back from the moon.
How do you say that again? It's not Yucatan. It's
Oh, yeah, we always screw up his name.
I don't know how to say that name. He says, which is exactly why Mars 1 is not going to happen.
Right.
Which I tend to agree with.
Right.
But we'll see, right? I mean, the border between crazy and brilliant is razor
very
thin.
thin.
So Chad says, bring on the Falcon 16. And I say, Falcon 16, please. You've got Falcon 9 right now, which is 9 engines. Falcon 16 would theoretically be 16 engines. But SpaceX has already announced Falcon Heavy, which is 3 cores put together, which is 27 engines. So it'd be the equivalent of a Falcon 27.
Brilliant naming strategy, by the way, if I may. Way to go with that. Go on.
So, yeah, I'm super excited for the Falcon Heavy. I say Falcon 16. Falcon Heavy, 27 engines firing concurrently. I want to see that. I want to go to that.
I want to go to there.
We've got from Hutchings 101. This was in reference to, we did a story about 3D printing lunar bases.
Yes.
He said, 3D printer, such a dumbed down description for additive manufacturing. The point being, a lot of people, when they think printer, you're printing on paper, right? You've got an ink going on paper, and then you have to try to describe what 3D printing is, being like, no, you're actually adding in elements on top, and you're printing a 3D model. It's actually a 3D object that you're printing.
Right.
And I see the point. It's a valid point. I think the difference is we try, on Spacevidcast, we try to not use things like acronyms. We try not to be exclusive.
Yes.
So whenever we try to say, instead of saying GLXP, we'll say Google Lunar X Prize, even if you wrote it as GLXP, as an example. But at the same time, we're going to use phrases that are fairly common.
Yes.
So 3D printing is a common phrase. And just because people think that printing on paper is how it has to be done, 3D printing isn't wrong. Using that term isn't wrong, and it's an opportunity to educate them on what you can do. And frankly, saying 3D printing kind of makes them stop and think for a moment, and it gives you kind of an in to say, think about all the cool things you can do, explain what it is and what you're able to do with it, and then it kind of gets their mind whirling. Sometimes, depends on the person.
It is a slightly more accessible phraseology, if you will. 3D printing, as 3D printers are now in a lot of Staples stores. Staples stores are Office Depot stores, but one of those stores across America.
I think it's Staples.
I believe it's Staples, but I apologize if I'm incorrect in that statement. But still these big box office supply stores. Where you can send your design. If you don't personally own a 3D printer or don't have a friend who has a 3D printer, send your design and have it printed there in the big box store. At that point, it is becoming extremely commonplace, if you will. And so it's a phrase that people are very familiar with and very comfortable with, which is one of the reasons why we approach it in that manner.
So, understand your point, but that's why we do it the way we do it. And, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Taiwan John says, Kickstarter, yes, eventually we'll see crowd-sourced space projects, but not for launch vehicles and other big-ticket items. Why bother? Same companies we mentioned,
Right.
Maston, Musk, Bigelow, are already providing such services. But a CubeSat is in the right zone for a Kickstarter project, and the possibilities are endless. Yeah, actually, that is a valid point. You don't have to go for broke and do the entire freaking everything, the launch provider, the space station.
Yes, but this also kind of goes back to what Corpsman was saying about the Google Lunar X Prize teams having an issue funding some of their things. When you look at that, it is a little bit further beyond a quote-unquote CubeSat,
Yep.
but not a whole lot further.
Well, a CubeSat.
It's not humans on Mars or the moon or what have you. It's a rover on the moon, taking some pictures, going a little further, taking a nap, and surviving.
Taking a nap.
But I mean, really, when you distill it down, and again, I'm not saying that it's the easiest thing in the world to do, because obviously it would have been done by now, and the prize hasn't been won yet. So I'm my own devil's advocate in saying that, well, it's not this hard, but it's harder than this, if that makes any sense. I mean, I guess, please feel free to go forward with such an idea. It's a great idea, but full well understand that it could still fail, and it could still fail miserably.
Actually, Quantum G brings up a good point. If a CubeSat builder could actually get the launch in the same year or decade they start building the CubeSat, it'd be easier to get funding. Part of the hard part of funding any of these things is that it takes so long from funding to result. I mean, it's measured in decades.
Right.
That people lose interest very quickly.
Yeah.
For better or for worse, we're an ADD society now. So
right. Well, I mean, even the Kickstarter campaigns in general don't go on for 10 years. They don't go on for any years. You would have to constantly be having to ask for more funding if that was the way that you wanted to fund the entire project.
Which is why I think for space there needs to be something slightly different. And I think there actually might be a market for this. And maybe there already is something. If someone knows of something, let me know and we'll bring it up in the show. But a Kickstarter specifically designed for space, specifically designed for the longer duration mission objects that we have, like decades long, designed in such a way that you can fund the parts that you want to fund, because sometimes even a Google Lunar X Prize team, maybe you want to fund the rover directly, or you want to fund the camera, or you want to fund a specific part of the project,
right.
but not just give them money blindly. And they have to use that money in whatever way.
Yeah, that would be cool. And then maybe even someone smaller like us could say, hey, I want to pay to have my logo on that camera. So every single picture that they take does have my logo on it. That you don't need a big guy like Red Bull to come in and do such a thing. It's an interesting idea.
And user in the chat room, I think I is the username. What happens if I donate £100 and it fails? Well, then you, as Black Project said, you lose your £100, right? There is no guarantee in space, and this is the other hard thing: is you need, there has to be this communication of controlled explosion off the back of a rocket. Things could go wrong. So,
right, but I believe, if it fails, I believe a Kickstarter. My understanding is that if the project is not fully funded, you get your money back.
Yeah, but not fully funded is different than failure.
Yeah, but I wanted to sort of cover our bases and what fail means.
I have no idea how to say this username. TV Alpha Nymph.
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
We'll go with that.
The reason why crowdsourced funding would work: Kickstarter represents unprecedented success in getting people excited about innovation. Nowadays, the common person is a developer, engineer, artist, or politician in their free time. I think that Kickstarter is a good base, but I think it needs to be tweaked for space.
Right.
Because Kickstarter works really, really well
So
in
we
the
need
technology.
a space starter.
We need a space starter. Yeah. Kickstarter, you're welcome. Spacevidcast community, you're welcome. Right now, someone is going to GoDaddy and registering spacestarter.com. Yeah, the The fundamentals are there with Kickstarter. It's just that it's more designed for the technology industry or the movie industry, where you get results and you can see results very quickly.
Yes.
Space just doesn't work that way, and I've hammered that point home, so I'm not going to keep doing that.
Right.
But you get the idea. All right. So that's our show for this week. Stay tuned. Spacevidcast After Dark is up next, and we've got so that's again, if you want to watch it, you need to be an Epic subscriber or watching live. And we are going to show you in After Dark. We're going to show you SpaceX software engineers' answer to. Do you get into battles with brain surgeons over who is smarter, a brain surgeon or a rocket scientist? And I think SpaceX software engineers had a fantastic answer to that. So we're going to talk about that in After Dark, and we're also going to show you the next generation of Spacevidcast, as it were. Kind of showing off some of the stuff that we're working on, and you're going to start to see that in shows as soon as next week, actually.
Again, so if you're live, stay with us. We'll be coming up with Epic. And if you're watching us on demand, then just get Epic, and then you can watch us in After Dark.
Awesome. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you. We'll see you next
Buttons.
week. Yeah, I
All
know
the
buttons.
buttons.
All of the buttons. I have to
Right,
press them all.
buttons.
Oh,
Wait,
man.
you're not pressing the buttons.
Man.